Welcome to Theatre International's World's Indigenous Peoples. I'm your host, Ray Allen. This segment of World's Indigenous Peoples, I am proud to have with me three very indigenous people from Honduras, Central America, who will be bringing to you lots of information about Census 2020. And I have with me Dr. Quisia Gonzalez and Dr. Ovelo Lopez
Yes.
and Mr. Matias Magia.
Yeah,
Did I say it right?
yeah,
Okay.
right.
Yes. And but before we get into the census, I want you to get to know these three very important individuals. And it is not just in terms of the census, but if they are coming to you through the Bronx and letting you know how important it is that each person in the household to register for the census. Every child, every adult should register because that is monies into the community, monies into your household, as well as monies into the community. And at this time, first I would like to start with the lady
Thank you.
sitting in the middle, Dr. Gonzalez. Dr. Gonzalez, tell us about yourself and your background in medicine.
Okay. I am a medical doctor, a general surgeon and general practitioner, like family practice here. And I graduated in Brazil, worked back in Honduras, and then I came here to New York several years now. And I devoted myself to organizing, community organizing, because life over here is completely different for us as an immigrants. So I dedicated to organizing labor, organize in adult basic education, and more than anything, I become teacher and instructor of the school, Henry George Schools of Social Science, where I taught political economy, science, and human rights.
And where's this?
That is in Manhattan.
Manhattan.
For 11 years, I was a teacher from teaching economics. And then with them, another organization that advocate for the tax reform has a representation at the United Nations, an organization that is based in London. I am the main representative to the International Union for Land Value Taxation.
Yes.
That is an organization that have ECOSOC consultative status at the United Nations. And that is that I have been around Venezuela, Caracas. I've been in Buenos Aires in the School of Law. We held some international conference as well. I have been also representative to conference of the UN conference, like the last one I went. It was Habitat for Humanity in 2016 in Ecuador. I was there, and trying to really, bring the idea how to get funds from where to generate funds for social development.
Yes.
That is the main idea, to have a tax reform that will eliminate imposing government into the labor, the products of labor, but on the land.
Very good, very good. Dr. Lopez, tell us about your medical practice and...
In this moment, I speak quite Spanish. So,
well, I want you to do it both in Spanish and English. Because there are going to be a lot of English.
yes, in this moment, it's not comfortable for me speaking English.
Go
So,
ahead. I help.
yeah, okay. I need help with my sister, Kisha.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, mi nombre es Ovelio López. Soy médico graduado de Cuba,
I am a medical doctor graduated in Cuba from
Escuela
ELA,
Latinoamericana de
the
Medicina.
School of Latin American School of Medicine.
Sí, tengo experiencia de trabajo médico, la práctica médica, en la comunidad indígena de Venezuela, tuve mi especialidad por allá. Y luego regresé a Honduras a trabajar. En Venezuela tuve 3 comunidades indígenas que trabajé.
My medical practice has been developed in the indigenous community from Venezuela and also in Honduras. In Honduras, I work in 2 indigenous community, which is the Garifuna people and the Miskitos.
Sí.
So you also speak mosquito?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hablo mezquito y hablo garífuna, español, y ahorita estamos con el inglés.
Un poquito English.
Yeah, little bit English.
Very good.
Yeah.
And what do you do here in the United States?
Okay, aquí en Estados Unidos estamos haciendo varias cosas, desde el trabajo comunitario de promoción y prevención, y también estamos insertándonos en el campo médico a través de algunos trabajos como voluntariado en el Hospital Lincoln.
In the United States, here in the Bronx, what I'm doing right now is organizing community organizing and also trying to insert myself into the prevention and develop preventive medicine in our community and here in general, but also I volunteer to the hospital of Lincoln Hospital.
Very good. Now, between both Dr. Lopez and Dr. Gonzalez, any of you do any medicine outside of I should say, traditional medicine?
Oh, absolutely. That is very interesting because one of the reasons why we are working together and we're trying to further and to insert that concept of traditional medicine in our community is because of our background, profound and the spiritual urgency to repair our community has to do with the well-being of people. Recently, I have really inserted myself into studies of alternative medicine. And because I believe, and that is a commonality among us, that medicine has to start with the healing of the soul. And if we do not treat that, there is no way to control whatever malady is starting to manifest in the physical part. So we are doing that, and we have a lot of ambition in order to develop from that side, because we not consider that we are wasted over here because we choose not to go for the licensing. Personally, I do not like the way medicine is important over here because there is no touching, no human contact.
Okay, we're going to talk more about that on the second segment.
Perfect.
I'd like to go on to Matthias over here and tell us about your background, which is very much involved in terms of what the show is all about.
So my English not is very well now.
And Dr. Gonzalez is going to help us in terms of the English and give us more in terms of what you do.
Okay. Ahora mismo vine a Estados Unidos a estudiar inglés.
I recently arrived in the USA to learn English.
Estoy estudiando inglés en el programa
I'm studying English
en Columbia University.
at Columbia University.
Community Impact se llama.
¿Cómo?
Community
Impact Program
En Honduras
in Honduras.
trabajé de maestro en la universidad dando clases de filosofía.
I had worked as a teacher in philosophy in Honduras University
Porque estudié filosofía y teología.
because my first major is in philosophy and theology.
Después hice mi especialidad en Madrid con el Fondo Indígena en Derechos de los Pueblos Indígenas.
And after that, I went to Madrid, Spain, to make a master's degree with Indigenous Fund in indigenous rights. So I'm a master in indigenous rights.
Very good. Okay, I'm going to stop you with that right now. As I said, I'm going to come back later and
Volveré.
deal in terms of each one of your paths and making a difference in this life. Okay?
Okay.
But at this point, we are going to deal with the census.
Okay.
How are you contributing to the census of 2020?
Okay.
Okay.
¿Quiero empezar?
In this
Let's start with Dr. Lopez.
Ok, nuestra contribución al censo 2020 es precisamente en la promoción para que las personas o las personas que viven en los Estados Unidos podamos, especialmente tanto en la comunidad garífuna como en la comunidad indígena y la población en general, que puedan censarse,
Okay.
puedan registrar en el censo.
First of all, our contribution is established in the fact that promote people with the people to understand why it's important to be counted, especially in the indigenous community, all the different indigenous community to register as their identity, proper identity, in our community as Garifuna people, and to the collective that we can reach individuals in this community, especially in the Bronx where we live and in Brooklyn where Brother Matthias lives, so we can be counted, because at the end, the capacity of progress of all the inhabitants depends in the way they are insert themselves into the community. Being counted means that we can develop and receive the resources, financial resources, to invest in human development. Schools, centers, care centers, daycare centers, adult daycare centers, health, all of that. And that's the reason, because in the last census, we were undercount, all the communities.
2010, we were definitely undercount, particularly in the Bronx,
Exactly.
especially in the 15th congressional district of the Bronx,
Okay.
in which you are working out of to make a difference. The 15th congressional district of the Bronx, which Congressman Jose Serrano, who will be stepping down after this term, yes, because of health reasons.
Okay.
He's been Congress now for about 30 years. But it is still on the books as the poorest district, congressional district in the country, in the
Wow,
nation.
that's strong.
Okay? So it is very important in terms of reaching out and letting the people know how important it is that everyone be counted, because it is dollars. For each person that is not counted, we are losing tremendous amount of dollars in the community. All right? Now, it is very important in terms of what you guys are doing, is because they can relate to you more coming from Latin America, from Central America, because there are a lot of people of Central America, Garifuna, as well as others,
Other
indigenous
Other
people,
indigenous people, yeah.
from Central
Well,
America,
Central America.
that are in the 15th congressional district of the Bronx. And they have to understand whether or not they are citizens or green card holders, if they are not legally here or whatever. It does not matter. They're here, and they must be counted. And most importantly, it is important that they understand that by filling out the census, that ISIS is not coming behind them. They will not be deported, because it has nothing to do in terms of with the federal government and what they're doing of deporting people that are not legally here in this country.
Yes, right.
So that is very important.
That is very
what
important.
What are you doing about it?
Oh, because first of all, we are connected with one of the community organizations here in the Bronx, the Garifuna Community Services, who has focused to reach those groups, and we are categorized as very difficult to reach. And this new census is the effort from the authorities is that everybody can be counted, and they reach out to our community in order to go after and convince, I'm gonna use that word just to say that I aspiring that people, we can reach their hearts to understand that if they do not count, we will continue submerged in that poverty because they're not in the statistic, so that means there is less people under the need, the financial needs to be covered. So it's necessary to be counted regardless of having documents or not, of being legal or not, being citizen or not. It's important to be counted because in the other, it is not looking to see about your legal status, but you are living here. How many people are physically? So count kids, count elderly, count everybody has to be counted. And your information is safe because to produce the census, there is under a code, a legal code, Code 13, that is a law that prevents that whoever is interacting and searching for your information or to whom you're giving your information, the bureau, the Census Bureau is not going to share with no other agency, and the people who are contacting you in the street when we're going to start canvassing in order to find the people and to write down, to fill out the census, that information is not going to be shared with nobody. Why? Because it's under penalty. Code 13 prohibits share information. So all the workers and volunteers that those we are working with organizations that have been assigned to develop this work is under oath, bajo juramento, that we're not gonna divulge that information. It's under penalty of $250,000 fine and 5 years of incarceration.
Matthias, you are involved in terms, you're a specialist with the indigenous peoples, which means that not only the indigenous people of the Garifunas, but the indigenous peoples of Central America, of here in the United States and throughout the Caribbean and what have you. How can you reach out in terms of your specialty as in indigenous peoples, be able to connect with people from, let's say, Guatemala, Nicaragua, what have you, that are not Garifuna, that your partners here, Dr. Gonzalez, Dr. Lopez, may not be able to reach?
Bueno, en Honduras trabajé en la Secretaría de Pueblos Indígenas.
I was working in the Ministry of Indigenous People in Honduras.
Lo que nos permitió conectarnos con los 9 pueblos indígenas de Honduras.
So I developed a relationship and connection with the 9 different indigenous tribes in Honduras.
And how you intend to utilize your experience in that
¿Cómo usar tu experiencia?
and getting indigenous peoples here
Conseguir que los indígenas
and the Bronx and Brooklyn to register for the 2020 census?
Esa es una pregunta importantísima. Cuando yo llegué aquí, fue mi primera preocupación conectarme con los pueblos indígenas.
That is a very important question. And on arrival, my concern was connect with indigenous people over here. How to connect with them.
Quise visitar la oficina de los pueblos indígenas de Naciones Unidas
I wanted to visit the office of the Indigenous Forum in United Nations
para hacer un mapeo de dónde estaban ubicados y qué trabajo se estaba
to
haciendo con ellos.
register, to mapping where are the areas where they are located over here and what type of work they're being done with them.
Pero no pude lograr hacerlo
But I didn't have the connection to do it.
porque no pude accesar a la oficina.
I couldn't enter, I didn't reach the office or the contact over there.
Pero si este programa existe
But if this program is on,
y es propio para los pueblos indígenas,
and the title is International World for Indigenous People,
podríamos sentarnos
we can see it and talk
para identificarlos y hacer un trabajo con ellos.
to identify and develop a work with them.
Very good. And I'm going to hold you to your word. Because you've been searching for contacts with the United Nations and what have you. Well, we will talk on that.
Thank
You come to the right place. Okay? Now, tell us about how can a viewing audience get in touch with you, and there are any questions and what have you that they may have, or where can they come in if they want to come in person and sit down with you to get more information about filling out the census. Because even though you can do it online, and it also will be sent to you on hard copy in the mail, but a lot of people do not know how to fill it out.
Yeah.
It is in English, it's in Spanish, and in different languages, but yet they still have problems in terms of filling it out. So where can they come, and what do you have a telephone number in which you're able to give out?
Teléfono,
¿Tiene el teléfono de Gregorio?
Sí.
Yes, we operating, the central operation place for us will be the school 254 PS
It's at 345
3,
Brook Avenue Educational Complex.
exactly.
345 Brook Avenue Educational Complex, Bronx, New York, 10454. And that is between 141st and 142nd Street and Brook Avenue in the South Bronx.
And also, it will
And
be at the Garifuna Church in
The
front
Garifuna
of the
Church,
school.
which is directly across the street from the educational complex at 345 Brook Avenue Educational Complex, between 141st and 142nd Street
And the phone
and Brook
number?
Avenue. And the phone number in which they can
347-493-4508.
get.
That is the phone number for the.
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, repeat
so that
it.
everyone can hear.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
347
347
493
493
4508.
4508. That is the Garifuna Community
Community
Services.
Okay.
Es importante.
How is it going
You wanna
thus
say
far
something?
in terms of the outreach to the Garifuna community, other than just in that area there? Because when we get higher up into the 79th Assembly District, which is the Claremont Center, the Claremont area,
Okay.
and the Morrisania area of the Bronx, which we're talking about from 161st Street and 3rd Avenue up to, I say, Claremont Parkway.
Okay.
There's a tremendous amount of Garifunas in that area.
The strategy that we are utilizing in this period pre-census that is going to start on March 12 officially, we have been developing teaching trainings and teaching studies with the people, speaking with different groups in which the Garifuna people are operate together, groups of dancing clubs, the patronatos or the grassroots organizations. All the organizations, we go into youngsters, to elders, to everybody. We're trying to reach all the organizations that are registered in New York, Garifuna. And also, the focus is the Garifuna because they have probably the number one people hard to count, but the census is for everybody. And whoever is in those meetings, we also reach them in the importance of why they have to fill the census. But also, we Garifuna people, we are in this dichotomy that people had gotten confused with their own identity because sadly, this idea of the United Nations to cover all the diaspora demanded to be recognized. Those Afro or black people, remnant black people around the Latin America, to be recognized under one label, Afro-Latino. And that's so dangerous. I don't know how. Don't ask me. I don't have the answer. And how they got over there, I know the process. But how people accepted that labeling is kind of destroying our identity.
Identity of who you really,
who we really are.
And it is very important because the largest percentage of Garifunas in the United States are right here in the Bronx. And it's important that we do that. In closing, and we'll be back.
Okay.
We're going to be back. We're going to be back in a few minutes. But in closing this segment, what is the last words in which you would like to say to the listening audience for coming out and voting in the census?
¿Cuál es la última palabra que le
Right
quieren
into the-
decir a la comunidad allá afuera para registrarse en el censo?
Desde el año 1790,
Right into the-
Since 1970?
1790
No, since 1790.
fue el primer censo de Estados Unidos.
That was the first census in United States.
2020
In 2020,
estamos celebrando el censo número 24.
we celebrated 21st
Okay,
census.
just with 3 seconds out of everything for me, Dr. Rodriguez.
Oh,
Gonzalez.
Gonzalo.
well, the census started in the United States in 1790. 90? And 2020 will be the 24th census, so it's important to participate.
Very good, very good. I want to thank you all for coming out and joining me here with World's Indigenous People. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to World's Indigenous People once again. I'm your host, Ray Allen. See you next time.